When I was younger, I thought my family was solid. My parents, James and Laura, had their fair share of arguments like any married couple, but nothing ever suggested to me that our household was on the verge of breaking. My dad was the steady type. He worked long hours, provided for us, and rarely let his emotions show. My mom was more outgoing, warm, and active. She was the kind of person who never missed a social gathering, who smiled at everyone, and who seemed to live for the little moments. When I was in high school, their divorce shocked me, but I accepted it. They told me it was because they had grown apart. Sounded cliché, but I figured that was the truth. I never pressed further. Years later, after I had moved back home temporarily to save money after college, everything changed. I was borrowing my mom's phone one night because mine had died and I needed to quickly check something. She was in the shower, so I didn't think much of it. But while searching through her files, I accidentally stumbled into a folder that caught my attention. It wasn't hidden with a password or locked. It was just there. Out of curiosity, I opened it. What I saw froze me. The folder was filled with videos and pictures. Some were just selfies of my mom in workout clothes, smiling at the camera in a way I had never seen before. Playful, almost secretive. But then there were videos of her with a man I recognized instantly. Her gym trainer, Mark. I had seen him a few times when she invited him over for barbecue nights, always under the pretense of being a friend from the gym. I remembered how overly friendly he seemed, how his hand lingered too long on her shoulder, how my dad seemed oblivious. But now the pieces clicked together. The timestamps on some of the videos were what shattered me the most. They weren't from after the divorce. They were from before. Some dated back to months when my parents were still living together, when my dad was still coming home every night believing his wife was loyal. That realization made my stomach churn. My mom hadn't just moved on after their marriage ended. She had been involved with someone else while my dad was still trying to hold everything together. I sat there with her phone in my hands, my heart racing and my chest feeling tight. I didn't know how to process it. On one hand, I was angry, furious even. My dad had been nothing but good to her as far as I could remember. He wasn't perfect, he worked too much, he sometimes forgot anniversaries, and he wasn't as affectionate as she probably wanted, but he was stable, reliable, and present. To know she betrayed him before even having the courage to end things, it made me feel like my whole childhood had been a lie. On the other hand, what disturbed me even more was how different she seemed in those videos and pictures. She wasn't my mom, the one who made pancakes on Sunday mornings and reminded me to take my jacket before leaving the house. She was someone else. Another woman. A woman who laughed differently, who posed differently, who looked at Mark with a passion I had never seen in her eyes when she looked at my dad. It was like I was staring at a stranger. When she came out of the shower, I quickly put the phone down and acted like nothing had happened. But inside I was shaking. I barely slept that night. My mind kept replaying everything I had seen, every little detail, every smile she gave him, every moment she thought no one else would ever know. The next morning, I couldn't look at her the same. She asked me if I wanted coffee, and her voice sounded normal, cheerful even, but I felt a knot in my stomach. I wondered if my dad had ever suspected, or if he had gone through the divorce believing it was just mutual distance. Did he ever know the real reason? Or had she hidden it so well that he walked away blind? Days passed, and I kept the secret bottled up. I wanted to confront her, to shout at her, to ask her how she could do that to us. But every time I opened my mouth, the words stuck. I was scared of what she would say. Scared of hearing her justify it. Scared of hearing that she had loved Mark in ways she never loved my dad. Scared that she would look me in the eyes and confirm what I already felt, that the version of her I grew up with wasn't real. I started distancing myself from her. She noticed, of course. She asked if something was wrong, if I was stressed about work, if I was okay. I brushed her off, saying I was just tired. But the truth was, I didn't know how to face her anymore. Every time she smiled at me, I saw the other woman in those videos. Every time she hugged me, I felt like I didn't really know who she was. Eventually, I went to visit my dad. I didn't tell him what I had found. I couldn't. He seemed happy in his own way, finally at peace after the divorce. He had started fishing again, something he hadn't done in years. He talked about maybe moving to a smaller town somewhere quiet. And as I sat there listening to him, I couldn't stop wondering if he had any idea. If he knew that the marriage he had worked so hard to keep had ended long before the divorce papers were signed. That night I almost told him. The words were right there. But then I looked at him, at how calm and hopeful he seemed, and I swallowed them back down. What good would it do to tell him now? The marriage was over. He was rebuilding his life. Would it really help him to know the full truth? Or would it only reopen old wounds? I'm still torn. I don't know what to feel. Part of me wants to scream at my mom, to tell her she destroyed everything I believed about family. Another part of me wants to pretend I never saw anything, to go back to ignorance. Because knowing the truth has only made me bitter and restless. I can't erase those images from my mind. I can't forget the way she looked at him, the way she lived a secret life while my dad was in the next room. To me, she'll never just be my mom again. She'll always be two people now, the mother who raised me and the stranger I discovered in her phone. And I don't know how to reconcile the two. All I know is that things will never feel the same again.